Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Browns Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, also known as Grizzer, and this is where we get you caught up on some of the latest news involving our Cleveland Browns and then give you a take or two with said news along the way. Thank you to everyone who has liked our previous episodes and to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. We are climbing up towards 9,000 subscribers, and when we get there, I will change the fit for a day. Thank you to everyone who also gets their comments in the viewer comment section. Boy, did we blow up yesterday. It was awesome. I just love it. It's great to see a lot of healthy discussions going on in the viewer comments. And then thank you to everyone who has scanned the QR code and become members of the Browns' latest Dog Pound. Appreciate all of that. But we've got a lot to unpack today once again because we're talking about the Cleveland Browns, and there's never a dull moment. But guess what? We finally have a QB1. It is Joe Flacco. The worst kept secret in the NFL has finally been revealed, and Joe Flacco is our quarterback. We're going to discuss that, and also the wide receiver room. They've been looking pretty good throughout training camp, our wide receivers, but they may have just gotten the missing piece we needed to take the room to the elite level. Also, okay, Flacco's QB1, but I'm going to tell you, Kenny Pickett is not out of the conversation yet because I'm going to show you something that demonstrates just how well he was looking in this offense before he got hurt. Also, I want to show you something else that even if we were pursuing Bengals defensive end, Trey Hendrickson, why you wouldn't want him anyway. We don't want him. And then down in the viewer comments, what Dylan Gabriel said about Shedeur Sanders after the game was right? We'll unpack it all, but you know how we start. First things first, we thought we were going to have to wait until later today to find out if Joe Flacco was going to be the quarterback, but the Browns decided to let the cat out of the bag. I think they looked around the room and they said, did you hear Dave? He said that this is the worst kept secret in the NFL. Do you think we should just go ahead and tell everybody that it's Joe? And sure enough, it's Flacco. Joe Flacco. At least we'll get to hear that song again. But it'll be Flacco leading the troops today at practice. You'll see there, I'm sure Kevin Stefanski will have plenty to talk about after practice, and I'm sure we'll see Mr. Flacco as well to hear his thoughts on being the Browns' quarterback week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals. And you see they'll keep this schedule tomorrow, and then also on Thursday they'll practice 12:15. Friday is going to be basically an off day because they got the game on Saturday against the Rams. The Rams with no Matthew Stafford. So this is going to be a dress rehearsal for our Brownies. I expect to see the starters for at least a series or two in that game. And then hopefully we get to see both rookies as well. And we'll get some more information on Kenny Pickett's status. But I don't know, man. But it'll be interesting to see if he gets any action at all. Now, one guy that Joe Flacco's got to be excited to be throwing to is wide receiver Isaiah Bond. We finally got him signed up, ready to go, and after his legal proceedings were taken care of, this is the other worst kept secret in the league. Because remember, Bond said, "I'm signing with Cleveland," like 2 seconds after he was cleared, and then the Browns were like, I don't know, maybe. That's only because they didn't want to be accused of tampering or something. Probably some kind of logistics involved. But here's what Andrew Berry had to say. He said, look, we spent much of the last calendar year getting to know Isaiah as a player and professional, and much of the last 4 months gaining a full understanding of his legal situation. On the legal side, we have done extensive research that includes, but is not limited to, hearing from both sides of the case and receiving the results of an independently administered polygraph test. So they did their due diligence. The deal is fully guaranteed, and it's more in line with a third-round pick than it is an unsigned, undrafted rookie free agent. So this is unbelievable. unprecedented. He is the first guy to ever get a fully guaranteed contract. I mean, even before he stepped onto the field, as an undrafted, unsigned rookie free agent. So that tells you everything you need to know about the way the Browns feel about Isaiah Bond. Now, one of the big things that played into this was offensive coordinator Tommy Rees. He had Bond in Alabama and went to bat for him big time in this situation. And so, they spent a lot of time with him on campus at school, and then of course at the facility, and at the combine. And this guy's got 4.39 speed, folks. And you know what that means? This is the missing link. This is the guy that can take the top off of a defense. And so I imagine there's a really good chance we could even see him. They'll get some plays in there for him week 1, because all he has to do is just fly. Just run down. Remember when you play backyard football, the fastest kid, you just say, just go. And he'd run past everybody and just throw it up. That's what this is going to be. Think like Randy Moss, back when Brady had Moss. Like this, Bond can fly. 4.3 speed. So or even in a catch and run situation, you get the ball in his hands in space, and he'll be gone. He's 5'11", 180, so he's not a super tall receiver. There's that 5'11" again. Who's somebody else that we always talk about on this team is also 5'11". And oh yeah, that's right, Dylan Gabriel. So Gabriel will have someone he can look eye to eye in the huddle if he's ever out there with Isaiah Bond. But remember, he started at Alabama, then went to Texas, and he's 21 and would have been a high draft pick potentially. He could have gone in the first 2 rounds, but they were projecting him 3rd round. So what does this mean? Now, he is added to a room that already features Jerry Jeudy. So good company there. Said Tillman, who is considered a promising young star. He had a catch the other day. But this is Tillman's year to break out. Everybody's talking about breakout year for Tillman. So you got Jeudy, you got Tillman breaking out. Still trying to figure out what's going on with Deontay Johnson. After Saturday, I'm like, he hasn't done much, but, he hasn't done anything too awful, although he was involved in that pick 6 when the tight end got pushed into him and that whole disaster for Dylan Gabriel. But then you got Jamari Thrash, who's done nothing but ball out, along with Gage Larvidan. I think Thrash and Larvidan are locks to make this roster, as is Jeudy and Tillman. They are locks. Isaiah Bond, a lock to make this. So Deontay Johnson, you got Caden Davis. There's a couple other names, but not really that many. Because, remember we said that this would come down, that last spot could come down to Larvidan and Caden Davis. But I don't know, man. I think Caden will probably end up on the practice squad again. And then, you see how fast things change. Guys get hurt all the time. So the bottom line is we got the guy who can take the lead off the defense now. So that is just great to see. Now, another thing that you'll want to see is this. Now, I'm calling this segment What Might Have Been. And I'm referring to the one and only Kenny Small Hands Pickett. Why is that, you say? Because when you look at the cumulative numbers for the world famous quarterback tracker that we've been following since OTAs, really, you were going to be surprised how well Pickett was playing before he got hurt. So here are your numbers. And ESPN Cleveland put this out. But I threw in the percentage, the completion percentage. I did some math, used a calculator, figured it out. Remember, communications major, so there was no math. That's a true story. I went to when my first day at college, and they said, what classes do you want to take? What do you want to major in? And they said, well, if you major in communications, there's no math classes. And I said, that's what I'm going to do. And so it was that easy. Nah, I knew I was going to major in communications, but there was no math. That was just a bonus. Flacco, you see there 60% of his passes up until today. And then you got Sanders, 70%. We've been talking about that the whole time. Pickett, 42 of 56 for 75%. He was completing 75% of his passes before he got hurt. And then there he is, the flying Hawaiian, Dylan Gabriel, 54%. And so when I saw that, it's like, I wonder what might have been if Pickett could have stayed in the fold there, because back in the beginning, remember, everything we kept hearing was that they wanted Pickett. They wanted the reclamation project. Now, what does that mean for us today? Because, Dave, you just said Flacco's our guy, right? He is, but for all of our Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders fanatics, don't be surprised if they keep him on the, meaning Pickett, if they keep Pickett on the roster, that he is vaulted into that number 2 spot. And I'm sure there'll be a new depth chart coming out soon, and we'll have to see how much action he gets this week. But I'm telling you, folks, don't be surprised. That whole thing, the 4 quarterbacks not sustainable thing, like that to me that's just. They kept 4 quarterbacks last year, so why wouldn't they keep 4 quarterbacks again this year? So, but keep that, just tuck that away, and so when Pickett is vaulted into quarterback 2 spot, you can just go, Dave, you tried to warn us. I'm telling you, just I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying. So there's your guy, Kenny Pickett. Boy, he was, the numbers were good until he got hurt. Now, something else. Everybody talking about Trey Hendrickson. The Browns are involved in the trade talks with the Bengals. And first of all, the Bengals are never trading Hendrickson within the division. Never, ever going to happen. Second of all, he's a 4-time Pro Bowler who wants almost $30 million. He wants over $30 million a year. We just paid Myles Garrett. We do not have the funds to pay Trey Hendrickson. They also want a couple of high-quality players. So they would probably take, an Isaiah McGuire or Alex Wright or one of these guys. Or, they're going to want one of our young and up-and-coming stars, I don't want to do any of that. But here's the other reason. Here's why you won't want them. Look at this. When you compare and I just went AFC North. I went Myles Garrett, and TJ Watt. Look, he doesn't even register in any of these categories. Watt leads in sacks. Garrett's right behind him. Hendrickson's not even close. Watt also leads in solo tackles. Garrett's also second. Hendrickson's a distant third in that. Watt leads with that guy is a forced fumble machine. Also interceptions. Got 7 interceptions. Watt's a maniac. That's why when he said he wanted to get paid, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. The other thing is Garrett's a year younger than both of these guys. So Garrett's a year younger than Hendrickson. And so, he wants. So he's currently scheduled to make $16 million in the final year of his contract. And he wants a deal that reflects his status as one of the league's top pass rushers. I don't think he's one of the league's top pass rushers. I just don't. The Bengals reportedly offered him $28 million already. He doesn't want that because it's the guaranteed money, it's a sticking point, and this and that. I'm like, for the love of Pete, man. I'm like, this guy, we don't want him. He's not worth it. He's older than Garrett. He's already 30. So he wants to try and get one more bag, and I think he's screwing himself out of it. He should have took the $28 million if that's what they were giving him. But they all want this guaranteed money. They want years are guaranteed. That's what they want because, their careers could end, especially as they get older. One play is all it takes. And so that's what they fight for. They either want years, they want longevity, or they want guaranteed. And now it seems to shift to guaranteed, even with the rookies. You're seeing that. You saw it with Bond. They want guaranteed money just in case something happens. Plus, all these guys missed out on the NIL stuff. If you get the NIL stuff, that helps, man. That's huge. If I had a kid in college, I'd be like, yeah, get it all. Get it all you can. You never know what's going to happen. Put it all in a bank. Buy a restaurant or something later. I don't know, but that's what they want. But no, we do not want to do a deal for Trey Hendrickson, but I would always do a deal for the viewer comments. And today we're going to start with Prince Fly, spelled P-H-L-Y, Fly. Love it. Love it. Great YouTube handle. Who says game changer versus game manager. Speaking of Shedeur Sanders, the game changer versus the game manager, Dylan Gabriel. He says Shedeur can push the ball down the field better and can see over the linemen as the plays develop. DG cannot. Not this DG, Dillon Gabriel. DG can't push the ball downfield. He needs to see through passing lanes of the linemen instead of over them like Shedeur Sanders. And you are absolutely right, Prince Fly. That's a big thing. And you saw, you didn't really get to see Dillon Gabriel push the ball downfield because probably part of the play calling plan. Remember, not game plan in a preseason game, play calling plan. But we talked about that in the bold predictions. It was going to be a lot of high percentage passes and then a lot of running game. And it was. And so game manager, that's what he looks like. Still, to me, it's like a left-handed Colt McCoy. He's that course manager, man, out on the golf course, not the big hitter. So, but I love that, Prince Fly. Game changer versus game manager. Or you could go the entertainer versus the competitor. Ooh. Ghost of Nessa says, Dillon's mouth was moving, but Dan Lanning's words came out. And remember, when the entertainer comment, if you remember back, it was a pregame speech when Oregon played Colorado. Is it Oregon or Oregon? Colorado. So Oregon's playing Colorado, and Dan Lanning, the head coach of Oregon, talking about Colorado and Shedeur Sanders at the time, he said they're fighting for clicks and Oregon is fighting for wins. And so, there was a lot of chatter over there in Oregon leading up to that game like that, and Lanning leading the charge. And so that's why when Gabriel said that there was no doubt about who he was talking to. And he could go back and say media and whoever, whatever. Again, if anybody he said that before. If anybody can find that quote, I haven't been able to find it. Please share it with me in the viewer comments. But yeah, you're right. Yep, I 100% agreed, Ghost of Nessa. Yeah, Dillon's mouth was moving, but definitely Dan Lanning, his words were coming out. RJ66 says, does Dillon not know his field of work? Football is entertainment, and the players are entertainers. Now, this is what we teased at the top. In a lot of ways, Gabriel's right. All of the NFL players are entertainers, including Shedeur. That's what this is for. It's supposed to be fun. It's entertaining, right? But people take it so seriously sometimes. And it's like, and if anybody should take it seriously, it should be us, because we haven't won anything in ever. In the history of history, the Browns have not won anything. 1964. I'm talking Super Bowl era. So, it's like, yeah, and it's there for entertainment. It is entertainment. NBA, Major League Baseball. In the end, it is a form of entertainment. And so, you could go that route and say, okay, maybe Dillon Gabriel was right. So, but I still love the entertainer versus the competitor. Oh, this is going to be so fun to watch because, Shedeur's got a fire lit under him right now. Okay, we'll end on this. ET7702 says, Dillon Gabriel did not try to tackle the guy who picked the ball off. He just moved out of the way. Nobody's talking about that. Well, here's the thing. I saw it right away. I saw him step out of the way. And you know what? My first reaction was, but then I said, no. Dillon Gabriel did that was the correct move to make in the moment. Because we had a fella here named Baker Mayfield. Perhaps you knew about this. He was the Cleveland Browns quarterback and took us to the playoffs. And then the start of the next season, the second game of the year against Houston, he threw an interception similar to the one Dillon Gabriel threw. And it was the defensive back was on the run, heading towards his end zone. But instead of just getting out of the way, Baker Mayfield was going to do his best Clay Matthews impression and try to tackle the defensive back, and then ruined his shoulder, his non-throwing shoulder, but ruined his shoulder, and then put us down. And that was the start of the end of Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. And so that he never got that. He tore the labrum, and it made it worse later in the year. And we've gone over all this, but That would have looked so much like Baker Mayfield. And I said, how many times? I don't know how many times I've said, the franchise quarterbacks are smart enough to, see Rodgers and Breeze and Mahomes and all these guys. They throw a pick, they're in the first or second row of the stands. Like they're out of there because they know how important they are to the team. And so Dylan Gabriel in a meaningless preseason game, I'm okay with that. And so that's the other thing about this pick six is probably not a pick six if it's a regular season game, because he would probably make more of an effort, or at least, make more of an effort to stay in front of the defensive back so he can get some help to come up from behind. So that's the other thing. So if you want to talk about things people aren't talking about, in a regular season game, it's probably just an interception and not a pick six. But anyway, that is why nobody's talking, because nobody wants to ever see that again. Nobody, I never want to see a Cleveland Browns quarterback trying to make a tackle ever again after what happened with Baker Mayfield, because it just set us back and started the whole spiral with Watson and the whole thing. Ugh, what a mess. What a mess. But it's all over now. And we've got a quarterback. QB1, Joe Flacco. Flacco. Joe Flacco is back. Go. Joe Flacco. Hey, this is what everybody figured was going to happen in the first place. And so give them those first 6 games. You've got those 3 division games. I say we're going at least 3-3. We get through that. We'll see how long the Flacco, how long he can last. If he takes us to the Super Bowl, I'm all for it. But if he doesn't, a lot of guys waiting in the wings and ready to take over. It'll be fun. It'll be fun to get through it. But this defense is legit. The offense is awesome. Bonds in the fold. Judkins will be next. That's the next thing to watch with after Bonds is now signed. How quickly they can get Judkins in there, because it doesn't seem like Bond is there's no talk of suspension with Bond. So hopefully the same situation applies to Quinshon Judkins. All right, that's going to do it for today. Go Browns. We'll see you next time.